Every dream has a price. Every goal you set, every ambition you chase, every version of yourself that you aspire to become, there's always a cost attached to it. The problem is, we often look at the goal and fall in love with what it promises. We see the success, the applause, the recognition, the lifestyle. We imagine the reward, but what we rarely see, what we rarely stop to consider, is the price tag hanging underneath that dream. And the truth is, the price is almost always higher than we expect. When we talk about goals, we tend to speak in terms of what we want. I want to start a business. I want to get in shape. I want to make an impact. Those are all beautiful statements, but rarely do we ask the more important question, what am I willing to give up for it? Because every goal demands a form of payment. It could be time, it could be energy, it could be comfort. It could be security, but something must always be exchanged. Think about it, when you walk into a store, you don't get to just take what you want off the shelf. There's always a price tag. You either decide to pay for it, or you walk away. Life operates in the same way. The universe will always offer you something valuable, but never for free. The question isn't whether it's available, the question is whether you're willing to pay what it costs. The funny thing about price tags is that they're often hidden until you've already committed. You can't always see what something will truly cost you until you're in the middle of paying for it. The early mornings, the late nights, the rejections, the failures, the doubts, that's the fine print you didn't read when you said, I want to achieve this. But those who achieve their goals aren't necessarily more talented. They're simply the ones who decided that the price was worth it. When you chase a goal, it's not the dream that tests you, it's the cost. Most people quit not because the goal isn't achievable, but because they weren't ready for the bill. They thought success came at a discount. They thought passion alone would be enough, but passion doesn't pay for results, perseverance does. There's a reason why so few people truly achieve greatness. It's not because others lack potential. It's because they underestimated the cost of the journey. Everyone wants the reward, but very few are willing to make the down payment. We live in a world that sells shortcuts, instant success, instant fame, instant results, but nothing that lasts ever comes instantly. If you get something too quickly, you probably haven't paid for it yet. And if you haven't paid for it, you won't value it. When we truly value something, it's because we've paid a part of ourselves for it. The sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the moments of uncertainty, that's the real investment. And the more you've invested, the more meaning the outcome carries. That's why people who work hard to achieve something rarely take it for granted. They've earned it. They've paid for it in full. Let's be honest, it's easy to want something. Everyone wants success, love, recognition, freedom. But wanting is cheap. Paying for it, that's where character is built. Because the moment you decide to pursue a meaningful goal, life begins to test your resolve. It will ask you, how much do you really want this? And it won't ask you just once. It will ask again and again, especially when things get difficult. That's the true cost, not the work itself, but the emotional toll it takes to keep going when no one's watching, when no one believes in you, when you're not even sure you believe in yourself anymore. That's the moment where most people stop paying. They decide the cost is too high. But those who continue, those who keep investing their time, energy, and hope, they eventually realize something powerful. The cost doesn't just buy the goal, it builds the person capable of achieving it, because every goal has two outcomes. There's the external reward, the result you can measure, see, or touch. And then there's the internal reward, the transformation you undergo while paying the price. Most people focus on the first, but the real value lies in the second. You can lose the external outcome. You can lose money, status, opportunities. But the person you become through that process, that's something no one can ever take from you. Think of every great story you've ever admired. The hero never gets the reward at the beginning. They go through struggle, loss, doubt, and pain. The universe doesn't hand out greatness. It offers opportunities to earn it. And each challenge along the way is another installment payment. The heroes who make it to the end are simply those who kept paying until they owned their dream outright. Now, here's the part most people miss. The price isn't meant to discourage you, it's meant to prepare you. The cost of a goal isn't punishment, it's preparation. The sleepless nights, the failures, the sacrifices, they're not obstacles, they're tuition fees for mastery. You're paying to learn patience, resilience, focus, and strength. Without those lessons, even if you achieved your goal, you wouldn't know how to sustain it. So when you feel like the price is too high, when you're exhausted and tempted to quit, ask yourself, am I really paying too much, or am I simply learning what this goal is worth? Because value and cost are always connected. The more meaningful the goal, the higher the price. And if the goal didn't demand something of you, it probably wouldn't be worth having in the first place. Think about people who have built lasting success. Every single one of them has a story of sacrifice. They gave up comfort for growth. They traded ease for purpose. They chose long-term meaning over short-term pleasure. They didn't get there because it was easy. They got there because they understood the rule, nothing great comes without a price. So how do you know if a goal is worth the cost? Look at what it demands from you and what it gives back to others. If the pursuit of your dream makes you grow, helps others, and aligns with your deeper values, it's worth every bit of pain. But if it's something that feeds only your ego, that empties you instead of filling you, then even a small price will feel too high. When we understand the true cost of our dreams, something powerful happens. We stop complaining about the process. We stop resenting the hard work, the delays, the failures, because we realize they're not obstacles, they're the currency of success. Every setback is a bill to be paid, every challenge a reminder that we're still on the path, and once you start viewing the price as part of the process, you begin to appreciate the journey itself. There's an interesting shift that happens when you accept this truth. You stop chasing results and you start building habits. You stop seeking perfection and you start valuing progress. You stop waiting for the reward and you start enjoying the work. Because now you understand the work is the reward. The cost you pay every day isn't taking something from you. It's investing in the version of you that can handle more, achieve more, and become more. So, if you're chasing a dream right now, ask yourself, have I seen the price tag, and more importantly, am I willing to pay it? Because wishing is easy, doing the work, showing up, failing, learning, adjusting, sacrificing, that's what separates the dreamers from the achievers. Every goal worth pursuing comes with a price tag that says time, patience, consistency, sacrifice. The ones who achieve it are those who nod and say, I'll take it. The truth is, you don't always get to decide the cost, but you do get to decide whether to pay it. And if you're willing to pay in full, not just with effort, but with belief, persistence, and integrity, then life has a way of giving you exactly what you've earned. Because goals are not bought with luck or talent, they're bought with endurance. Every time you think of giving up, remember, you're not just paying for the result, you're paying for the right to become the person who achieves it. And that's the most valuable transaction you'll ever make, so don't walk away from your dream because the price seems high. Instead, remind yourself the higher the price, the greater the value. Keep paying, keep showing up. Keep investing, because one day you'll look back and realize that every moment of pain, every sacrifice, every ounce of effort was worth it. You didn't just buy your dream, you built it, one payment at a time. There's something no one tells you about chasing big dreams. They always cost more than you think. Not just in time or energy, but in the quiet sacrifices that don't make it to the highlight reels, the hidden costs. The ones you don't see until you're deep in the journey, wondering why it feels so heavy, why the people you started with aren't beside you anymore, and why the price of progress feels so personal. When people talk about success, they love to romanticize it. They talk about vision boards, motivation, hustle, and purpose. And all of that matters. But what they don't talk about is what you'll lose along the way. Because every goal, no matter how noble or inspiring, comes with hidden costs that aren't written in the manual. You can't plan for them, you can't predict them, you only discover them when you start paying. The first hidden cost is comfort. We all crave progress, but most of us are deeply attached to comfort. We want change, but we don't want to be uncomfortable while it happens. We want growth, but we don't want to feel the stretch, but you can't have both. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. One will always demand the sacrifice of the other. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has had to step out of comfort not once, but over and over again. It's in the early mornings when you'd rather sleep. It's in the late nights when everyone else has stopped working. It's in those moments when your mind whispers, "Take it easy," and you answer, "Not yet." Comfort is easy to worship because it feels good. But comfort never builds character. The hidden cost of your goal is that it will ask you to leave the safe space you've built and step into the unknown over and over again. Then comes another cost, your ego. The journey toward any meaningful goal has a way of humbling you. At some point you'll fail, you'll be criticized, you'll be misunderstood, you'll make mistakes that hurt. And in those moments, you'll realize that success isn't about proving how great you are. It's about learning how much you still have to grow. Your ego wants validation, it wants to be right, but the path to greatness demands vulnerability. You'll have to listen to feedback you don't want to hear. You'll have to admit when you're wrong. You'll have to stand in front of people and risk embarrassment, rejection, and even ridicule. That's part of the cost. If your ego can't take a few hits, you'll never last long enough to see what you're capable of. Every time you choose humility over pride, you pay another piece of the hidden cost, and that's what most people can't handle. They want to succeed, but they don't want to be humbled. They want the applause, but not the awkward silence. They want to look brave without ever feeling afraid, but courage doesn't exist without fear. Resilience doesn't exist without failure. Success doesn't exist without struggle. These aren't obstacles, they're the payments you make to earn your goal. There's also the cost of relationships, not because you have to push people away intentionally, but because not everyone will understand your journey. Some will question your choices, some will envy your progress, some will simply grow apart because you're growing in different directions. And that's one of the hardest prices to pay, realizing that the same people who once cheered for you might not be part of your next chapter. It's not because they're bad or wrong, it's because growth changes you, and when you change, you naturally shift the energy around you. You become more focused, more disciplined, more intentional, and that can make others uncomfortable. Some will support you wholeheartedly, others will drift away quietly, but that's okay. Not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. It hurts, yes, because we're wired for connection, we want to belong, but sometimes in order to grow into who you're meant to be, you have to let go of who you were. And that includes the people who are meant for that version of you. That's a hidden cost, a painful one, but it's the price you pay for evolution. Then there's time, perhaps the most obvious, but also the most misunderstood cost. Time is the currency of life, and every meaningful goal will ask for a large portion of it. You'll have to say no to things you enjoy. You'll have to skip some gatherings, delay some pleasures, and wait longer than you'd like for results to show. And that's hard because we live in a world obsessed with instant gratification. We want to see results now. We want to feel progress immediately, but every significant goal requires patience, the kind that doesn't come naturally. You'll plant seeds and see nothing grow for months. You'll give your best and get silence in return. You'll work for results that others can't even see yet. That's the hidden cost, delayed gratification. The willingness to stay faithful even when it feels like nothing's happening. Most people quit not because the goal was too hard, but because they couldn't handle the waiting. They misinterpreted silence as failure, but silence isn't failure, it's incubation. Growth is happening beneath the surface, even when you can't see it. You just have to keep watering, keep nurturing, keep trusting. That's how the greats pay the cost, through consistency. And perhaps the most overlooked hidden cost of all is identity. Every time you chase a meaningful goal, you're required to let go of an old version of yourself. The lazy version, the doubtful version, the one that plays small. You can't become who you're meant to be while clinging to who you've been. And that's a deeply uncomfortable process. You'll outgrow habits, beliefs, even desires. Things that once felt important will lose their meaning. And that can be confusing because transformation doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like loss. You're shedding parts of yourself that no longer serve you, and that feels like grief, but it's necessary. Because the person capable of achieving your goal isn't the person you are right now, it's the person you're becoming through the process. This is what the hidden costs are really about. They're not punishments, they're part of the transformation. Every time you give something up, comfort, ego, time, certainty, you're not losing, you're trading. You're trading who you are for who you're becoming. You're investing in your own evolution, but we don't like to think in those terms. We like to think of goals as wins. We like to focus on the reward, but the truth is, the real reward isn't the trophy or the title. It's the transformation that happens inside of you along the way. When you look back after years of effort, you'll realize that the most valuable thing wasn't what you achieved, but who you had to become to achieve it. The hidden costs are the price of becoming. The lonely nights, the doubts, the discomfort, the sacrifices, they're the sculptor's tools shaping you into someone capable of holding the success you dream of. That's why shortcuts never last. You might get what you want quickly, but if you haven't paid the full cost, you won't be ready to sustain it. There's a saying that goes, if it comes fast, it won't last. If it lasts, it won't come fast. That's because what comes fast is often cheap. Real success, the kind built on integrity, effort, and growth, is earned slowly, and every step is paid for in full. The hidden costs make sure of that. So when you're on your journey and it starts to feel heavy, when it feels like you're losing more than you're gaining, pause and remind yourself this is part of the deal. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it's all part of the cost. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Preparation always feels like pressure. It tests you, it breaks you, and it rebuilds you stronger. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the moments you thought were breaking you were actually building you. Every unseen cost, every hidden sacrifice, every quiet struggle, it was all adding value to the person you were becoming. So instead of asking, why is this so hard, start asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of saying, I didn't expect this, remind yourself, this is part of the price. The hidden costs are what make the victory meaningful. Without them, the reward would feel hollow. There's no such thing as something for nothing. You either pay upfront in effort, patience, and sacrifice, or you pay later in regret, disappointment, and what-ifs. And between those two, one price is always cheaper than the other. So when you find yourself in the middle of your journey, tired, uncertain, and questioning everything, don't walk away. You're not being asked to give up, you're being asked to pay up. You're being asked to invest a little more, believe a little deeper, endure a little longer. Because that's how every meaningful dream is purchased, not all at once, but installment by installment, payment by payment, through every challenge and every choice. The hidden costs are what make your story real. They're the evidence that you earned what you have. And when you finally get there, when you achieve that goal you've been chasing, it won't just be about the success. It will be about the journey. You'll know exactly what it took, what it demanded, and what it gave you in return. That's when you'll understand the truth about every goal. The visible prize is just the surface. The real treasure lies in the hidden costs, the unseen payments that shaped you, humbled you, and prepared you to carry the weight of your own success. And when you've paid that price in full, you won't just reach your goal. You'll have earned every inch of it, honestly, deeply, completely. Every goal you set in life comes with a simple choice. You can pay the price now or pay it later. The cost doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. The universe always collects its dues. The only question is when and how you choose to pay. You either endure the temporary pain of discipline now or suffer the long-term pain of regret later. And between the two, one is infinitely heavier. We've all been there. You wake up early with a plan, maybe to work out, to study, to build something meaningful. But then comfort whispers, just stay a little longer, rest a bit more, you'll do it tomorrow. And in that small decision, in that quiet trade of discipline for comfort, a small debt is created. It doesn't seem like much at first, but the thing about debt is it grows with interest. Over time, those small choices accumulate. One day, you look back and realize you're paying off years of missed opportunities, and the price of regret is far more painful than the cost of effort ever was. Discipline, on the other hand, demands upfront payment. It doesn't wait. It insists that you show up, do the work, and stay committed. Even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's watching, even when it feels like nothing is happening. It asks for your time, your focus, your energy. It's not glamorous, it's repetitive, it's hard, but the payoff is freedom. The freedom to live without what-ifs, the freedom to look back and know that you gave everything you had. Regret, however, is different. Regret doesn't come with hard work. It comes quietly. It doesn't ask you to sweat or push or persist. It simply asks you to wait, to procrastinate, to make excuses, to stay in your comfort zone. It's easy. It feels safe, but eventually it hands you the bill, and when it does, the price is unbearable because regret collects with interest. It grows heavier with time. The pain of discipline is temporary. It might last an hour, a day, maybe a few months. But the pain of regret can linger for years, even a lifetime. It's the ache that comes when you realize you had a chance and didn't take it. When you know deep down that you could have done more, could have been more, but chose the easier route. And that pain, the pain of wondering what could have been, is one of the hardest to live with. The truth is, both discipline and regret are hard. You just have to choose your hard. Waking up early is hard. Sleeping in and feeling like you wasted your day is also hard. Working on your dream is hard. Watching someone else live your dream because you didn't is also hard. Saying no to distractions is hard. Living with the consequences of distraction is harder. The difference is, one kind of pain leads to progress, the other leads to disappointment. Most people choose to pay later because discipline demands payment up front. It's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient, and it rarely offers instant rewards. But those who understand the long game know that paying now, through consistent effort and sacrifice, buys you something priceless later, peace of mind. You can rest knowing that you didn't hold back, that you didn't cheat yourself out of your own potential. Think of anyone you admire, an athlete, an artist, a leader, a parent, a teacher. What separates them from others isn't luck or talent alone. It's timing. They chose to pay early, while others waited for the right moment. They acted. They invested their energy while others were conserving it. They practiced while others were distracted. They were willing to endure discomfort today for the sake of a better tomorrow. That's the secret most people miss. The earlier you pay, the cheaper the price. Procrastination is inflation for your dreams. The longer you wait, the higher the cost becomes. That's why the best time to start is always now, not when things are perfect, not when you feel ready, but now when it's hard, messy, and uncertain. Because paying now, even in small installments, keeps you ahead of the debt that life will eventually demand. The ones who achieve great things don't have fewer challenges, they simply manage their payments differently. They don't wait until the last minute to pay the emotional cost of effort. They choose to suffer a little each day, the soreness of the gym, the discomfort of learning, the awkwardness of trying something new, because they understand that small doses of discipline build a kind of emotional muscle that protects them from the heavier burdens later on. Regret, on the other hand, is sneaky. It disguises itself as relief in the short term. It feels like rest, like self-care, like taking a break. But if you keep postponing what matters, those breaks become habits, and those habits become excuses. And one day, you'll wake up to realize the opportunity window has closed, not because you weren't capable, but because you waited too long. We've all met people who live in the shadow of their unfulfilled potential. They talk about what they could have done, where they could have gone, who they could have become. They carry the weight of almost, and that weight doesn't fade, it grows heavier with time, because deep down they know they traded something real for something comfortable. But here's the good news, it's never too late to start paying. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it compounds too. Every small act of effort builds momentum. Every day you choose to pay in discipline, the cost becomes a little easier. It's like building credit with yourself. The more you show up, the more trust you build in your own consistency. And over time, that consistency becomes confidence. Discipline is freedom disguised as effort. When you're disciplined, you're not just doing the hard thing, you're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. You become reliable to your own dreams. You stop making promises you don't keep. And that's one of the most powerful feelings in the world, to know that when you say you'll do something, you actually will. That's how you build self-respect. Regret destroys self-respect. It whispers that it's too late, that you've missed your chance, that you might as well give up. But that's a lie. The only real deadline is the one you create by quitting, because as long as you're breathing, there's still time to pay. It might cost more now, yes, the effort might be harder, the path might be longer, but it's still possible. And it's still worth it. When you decide to pay now, when you choose discipline over comfort, something remarkable happens. You start to see time differently. You stop chasing quick wins and start building lasting foundations. You realize that small daily payments, a bit of focus here, a bit of effort there, add up to something extraordinary. The results might take months or years, but they come. They always do, because consistency compounds. The problem is, most people quit before they see the return. They pay for a while, a few weeks, a few months, and then stop because they can't see the reward yet. But discipline doesn't work like a vending machine. You don't put in a coin and get instant gratification. It's more like planting a seed. You water it, nurture it, and trust the process long before you see anything sprout. And one day, seemingly overnight, the growth becomes visible, but it wasn't overnight. It was the result of all those unseen payments made in faith. Regret, on the other hand, grows instantly. You skip a day, you feel it. You let an opportunity pass, you feel it. It doesn't wait to show up. That's why it's so dangerous, because it offers immediate comfort and delayed pain. Discipline offers immediate pain and delayed comfort. Which one you choose determines the quality of your life. The greatest achievers aren't the ones who never feel tired, never feel afraid, or never doubt themselves. They're the ones who have learned to pay regardless. They've made peace with the pain. They've accepted that discomfort isn't a sign to stop, it's proof they're moving forward. They've traded temporary comfort for long-term peace. And that peace, that feeling of looking back and knowing you didn't waste your time, that you gave your best, that you honored your potential, that's the real reward. Because success isn't about the money, the fame, or the applause. It's about integrity. It's about living in alignment with your potential. It's about being able to look in the mirror and say, I paid the price and I earned this. We all have two bank accounts in life, one called discipline and one called regret. Every action you take is a deposit into one of them. Every time you choose effort over excuse, you're investing in your future. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you're borrowing from it. And someday the balance will come due. The question is, will you be collecting interest or paying penalties? So pay now, pay with time, pay with focus, pay with effort, pay with faith. It's cheaper today than it will ever be tomorrow. The cost doesn't get smaller, you just get stronger. Every day you stay disciplined, you increase your capacity to handle more, to achieve more, to become more. One day, the discipline that feels so difficult now will become your second nature. It will become who you are. And when that happens, you'll look back and smile, not because the journey was easy, but because you chose to pay the right price. You chose the pain that builds instead of the pain that breaks. You chose the discomfort that leads to freedom instead of the comfort that leads to regret. That's the ultimate truth of every goal. You always pay. But when you pay early, when you choose discipline, you don't just buy success, you buy pride. You buy peace, you buy a life without what-ifs. And that's a purchase worth every ounce of effort you'll ever give. Every time you pursue something meaningful, you start collecting receipts, not the kind that prove what you've bought, but the kind that prove what you've paid. Every struggle, every late night, every setback, every failure, they're all receipts of your growth. They're proof that you've been investing in something bigger than comfort. That's what makes achievement powerful. It's not just the result you get at the end, it's the evidence of what you endured to get there. Growth is invisible at first. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or applause. It's quiet. It hides in the moments when you keep going even though you have no proof it's working. It shows up in the times you fall apart and still find a way to stand back up. Every single time you choose effort over ease, faith over fear, or purpose over comfort, you're paying a cost that will eventually return to you in the form of growth. But here's the hard truth. Most people don't collect their receipts. They go through challenges, setbacks, and pain, and instead of seeing those experiences as evidence of progress, they see them as signs of failure. They mistake growth for struggle and struggle for defeat. The problem isn't that they aren't growing. It's that they don't realize that growth rarely looks like success while it's happening. You don't feel stronger while lifting the weight. You feel the strain, the fatigue, the discomfort. Strength shows up afterward in the moments when you realize the same weight that once felt impossible now feels manageable. Life works the same way. Every difficulty you face is a kind of resistance designed to stretch you. The pain you feel in the process isn't punishment. It's proof that you're in training. Growth always sends you a receipt. It's the scar that reminds you you've healed. It's the resilience that forms after rejection. It's the confidence that appears after doing something scared. The receipt is the lesson you carry, tangible, real, and hard-earned, and the more you pay, the more valuable those receipts become. You see, people often chase success as if it's a destination, but success isn't a destination, it's an accumulation of lessons, of resilience, of small victories earned through perseverance. It's the sum of all the receipts you've gathered along the way, and the irony is, you can't skip the hard parts and still collect the proof. You can't buy growth secondhand, you can't borrow someone else's lessons, you have to earn your own. That's why people who have truly struggled for something always speak differently about success. They respect it. They appreciate it because they know exactly what it cost. They have the receipts to prove it. They remember the nights they almost gave up, the doubts that nearly broke them, the sacrifices no one saw. And because they remember, they never take what they have for granted. There's a kind of quiet pride that comes from earning something honestly. Not arrogance, not superiority, but a deep sense of fulfillment. It's the feeling of knowing you didn't cheat the process, that you stayed when it was easier to leave, that you gave more when you had every reason to stop. That's growth, and that's what the receipts represent: integrity, effort, and endurance. But there's another side to this. Growth doesn't issue receipts immediately. It's not like a transaction where you pay and instantly get your product. It's more like an investment that matures over time. You pour in effort and the return comes later, sometimes much later. And that delay can be discouraging. You may wonder if it's worth it, if the effort will ever pay off. That's when most people quit, not because they lack strength, but because they stop believing the receipt will ever arrive. The truth is, growth always delivers, but not on your schedule. It shows up when you least expect it. You'll be facing something hard, something that would have broken you a year ago, and you'll realize you're handling it differently now. That's the receipt. It's in your patience, your resilience, your calm under pressure. Growth doesn't shout. It reveals itself quietly in the way you respond to life. Sometimes you won't notice it at all until you look back. You'll see old versions of yourself, the one who was afraid, insecure, impatient, and realize how far you've come. That's the beauty of progress. It doesn't always feel like movement when you're in it. It feels like effort, exhaustion, and uncertainty. But every ounce of that effort is building you. Every bit of pain is proof that something inside you is expanding. We tend to measure success by outcomes, promotions, milestones, recognition, but the real measure is how much you've grown in the process. Are you more patient, more compassionate, more grounded? Because those qualities are the true byproducts of a meaningful pursuit. Anyone can chase an outcome, but not everyone is willing to become the person required to achieve it. That's the real work, the inner transformation that comes from paying your dues, one challenge at a time. Think about the last time you overcame something you once thought you couldn't. Maybe it was heartbreak. Maybe it was failure. Maybe it was fear. At the time it felt unbearable, but you're here now. You survived it. You're stronger for it. That's your receipt. That's proof that you've grown, even if you didn't see it happening. That's why it's important to stop resenting the hard days. The struggles you face today will be the stories you tell tomorrow. They're the evidence that you didn't give up. They're the receipts you'll show yourself when you doubt your strength again. They're reminders that you've already paid a price, and because of that, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Growth doesn't always make sense while it's happening. Sometimes it feels like you're going in circles. You put in effort and see no immediate return. You keep giving, but nothing seems to change. But here's what most people forget. The work you're doing now is building foundations you can't yet see. Every bit of effort you put in is compounding beneath the surface. Just because the results aren't visible doesn't mean the progress isn't real. When you're in that invisible stage, the phase where you're paying but haven't received anything tangible yet, that's when you're being tested. It's easy to stay motivated when the rewards are visible. It's much harder to keep going when all you have is faith. But that's exactly what builds character. The receipts of growth aren't given to those who dabble, they're given to those who persist through the uncertainty. And here's the paradox: the harder the journey, the more valuable the receipt. The bigger the obstacle, the greater the transformation. The things that stretch you the most will leave the deepest marks, and those marks will become your greatest source of wisdom. Pain, if you allow it, becomes a teacher. Every failure, every rejection, every setback, they're lessons in disguise. Each one leaves a receipt stamped with knowledge, reminding you of what you learned and how far you've come. That's why people who have truly grown don't speak with bitterness about their past. They speak with gratitude. They understand that the things that hurt them most also shape them most. They realize that without those moments, they wouldn't have developed the empathy, courage, or strength they now have. Growth is not about avoiding pain, it's about using it. It's about letting your experiences refine you rather than define you. So when life hands you a challenge, don't just ask, why me? Ask, what's this costing me, and what will it give back? Because everything you go through gives you something in return, even if it's just a lesson, even if it's just resilience. Those lessons are your receipts. Keep them, remember them. They're proof that you're still standing, still growing, still moving forward. One day you'll meet someone who's facing what you once faced. They'll look at you and wonder how you got through it. And you'll realize that your receipts, your experiences, your lessons, your growth are now someone else's inspiration. You'll use your pain to guide, your failures to teach, your story to encourage. That's the ultimate return on investment when your growth becomes someone else's hope. So the next time you doubt yourself, look at your receipts, look at what you've already paid. You've survived harder days. You've overcome things that once felt impossible. You've already invested too much to give up now. Growth doesn't erase the pain, it redeems it. It turns what hurt you into what helped you. It transforms every loss into learning, every mistake into momentum, every setback into strength. In the end, success is just the visible evidence of invisible growth. It's the final receipt, the summary of every transaction you've made with life. The price you paid wasn't wasted, it was converted into wisdom, courage, and depth. Those are the true assets you earn along the way. So keep your receipts, cherish them. They're not reminders of pain, they're reminders of progress. Every scar, every sleepless night, every tear, every sacrifice, they're proof that you've paid the price and grown through it. You may not have everything you want yet, but you've already become someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than the person who started. And that transformation is worth every single thing you've paid. Before you chase a goal, you have to stop and ask yourself one simple question: what am I really buying? Because every goal has a price tag. Every ambition, every dream, every desire, they all demand something from you in return. Time, energy, focus, relationships, peace of mind. There is always a cost, and the tragedy is that most people never check the price before they decide they want something. We live in a world that glorifies achievement. We are constantly told to dream big, to aim high, to want more. But very few people talk about the price. It's easy to say, I want success. It's much harder to say, I'm willing to sacrifice sleep, comfort, and consistency to get it. It's easy to post about goals. It's harder to live through the grind that achieving them demands. Before you chase a goal, you have to know what you're buying. Because if you don't, you'll pay for it blindly, and you may realize too late that the cost was more than you were willing to spend. Not every dream is meant to be chased. Not every mountain is worth climbing. Some are there to teach you how to choose better, how to define what truly matters to you. You see, the purpose of a goal isn't to impress others, it's to express what matters to you. But if you don't know why you're chasing something, you'll lose yourself in the pursuit. You'll confuse progress with busyness. You'll mistake exhaustion for purpose. You'll pay a price that leads you nowhere. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. That's the hidden cost. If you're chasing career success, you might be sacrificing family dinners. If you're chasing wealth, you might be sacrificing peace. If you're chasing approval, you might be sacrificing authenticity. That doesn't mean the goal is wrong. It just means you need to be aware of what it truly takes. Most people only see the highlight reel. They see the athlete holding the trophy, not the lonely mornings in the gym. They see the entrepreneur celebrating success, not the nights of uncertainty when the dream almost died. They see the speaker on stage, not the years of self-doubt before that moment. Every success story has a price tag. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent. It's the willingness to pay the full cost of the dream. The ones who last are the ones who looked at the price and said, yes, it's high, but it's worth it. They didn't just fall in love with the outcome, they fell in love with the process. They understood that the goal isn't just about achieving something, it's about becoming someone, because real success isn't about the things you gain. It's about the person you become through the journey. And here's the paradox. When you know what you're buying, you stop buying everything. You get selective, you realize that not all goals are meant for you. You start to value alignment over ambition. You stop chasing everything that glitters because you understand that not everything that looks good is good for you. That's what maturity looks like, knowing that saying no to something doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're choosing what truly matters. When you know the price, you start making decisions with clarity. You stop being driven by impulse. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's because you understand that every person pays a different price. Some people are willing to sacrifice everything for a dream. Others value balance more, and that's okay. What matters is knowing your number, the price you're willing to pay, and the price you're not. You can have almost anything in life, but not everything. Every choice has a trade-off. If you want freedom, you might have to let go of security. If you want greatness, you might have to let go of comfort. If you want peace, you might have to let go of people who disrupt it. The question isn't whether you can have it all, it's whether you're choosing what's truly worth it. There's a quiet strength that comes from knowing what you're buying. You stop rushing, you stop comparing. You stop apologizing for your pace, you begin to move with intention, you understand that every decision has a cost but also a reward, and you begin to see that fulfillment doesn't come from having more. It comes from paying the right prices for the right things. We often admire people who seem to have it all, but when you look closer, you realize they don't. They simply decided what having it all meant to them. They chose their definition of success, their priorities, their trade-offs. They paid their price consciously, not blindly, and that's why they're at peace. They're not trying to buy everything. They've already decided what's worth it. Knowing what you're buying also helps you endure the hard parts. When the days get tough, when progress feels slow, when the sacrifices hurt, if you know why you're doing it, you keep going. Purpose is what gives meaning to the price. Without purpose, the pain feels pointless. With purpose, it becomes proof that you're building something real. That's why you should never chase someone else's dream. You don't know the cost of it. You don't know what it takes behind the scenes. You might be envying someone's highlight without realizing the sleepless nights, the missed birthdays, the toll on their mind and heart. Don't desire someone's results if you're not willing to pay their price. Instead, define your own. What matters most to you? What kind of life do you actually want? What values are non-negotiable? When you know that every goal becomes a conscious purchase, not an emotional impulse. You stop chasing what looks good and start pursuing what feels right. There's freedom in that, because once you know what you're buying, you no longer feel pressured to buy everything. You stop running the race that everyone else is running. You start walking your own path, and even if it's slower, even if it's less glamorous, it's yours. And when it's yours, you can handle the price because you chose it. The sacrifices don't feel like suffering, they feel like investment. You're not just enduring the hard days, you're earning your fulfillment. There's pride in that kind of pursuit. But if you don't know what you're buying, you'll end up paying for things that don't fulfill you. You'll climb ladders that lead to walls you never meant to lean on. You'll reach goals and feel empty because you never stop to ask, is this even worth the price I paid? Success without purpose is a debt you'll never stop paying. So before you chase another dream, pause, ask yourself, what will this cost me? What will I have to give up to gain this? And more importantly, will it make me proud when I look back? Because you can always make more money, earn more followers, collect more trophies, but you can never buy back time, integrity, or peace. The people who live with regret aren't the ones who failed. They're the ones who succeeded in the wrong thing. They paid a high price for something that didn't matter in the end. They worked hard, but not purposefully. They achieved but never felt fulfilled because they didn't stop to check the tag. When you start looking at life this way, you begin to make decisions that align with your values. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You understand that the goal of life isn't to have the most, it's to have what means the most. The funny thing about paying the right price is that it often gives you unexpected change, growth, wisdom, connection. When you invest in something that truly matters, you get more than you expected. The reward isn't just the outcome, it's the person you become along the way. So before you set another goal, slow down, look at the price, feel the weight of what it will take. Ask yourself, am I willing to pay this? And if the answer is yes, commit fully, give it everything. Pay the price gladly because you know what you're getting in return. But if the answer is no, walk away without guilt. That's not failure, that's wisdom, because life isn't about buying everything. It's about investing in what matters. It's about spending your energy, your time, your heart on things that bring meaning, not just applause. The best goals aren't the ones that impress the world, they're the ones that make you proud of who you became in the process. At the end of the day, the only person who can decide what's worth the price is you. And when you live that way, when every goal is chosen with clarity, paid for with purpose, and pursued with integrity, you stop chasing success. You start living significance, and that is the only purchase in life that never goes out of style, never loses its value, and never leaves you in debt. It's the kind of goal you buy once and keep forever.